sides of the heavens. Vyoma, the sky. Graha, the planets. Nakshatra, the stars. Bhubritam, of the hills. Sarit, the river. Samudra, the sea. Dvipanam, of the islands. Sambhavaha, appearance. Cha, also. Etat, there. Okasham, of the inhabitants. Translation. O best of the Brahmanas, please also describe how the creation of the globes throughout the universe, the four directions of the heavens, the sky, the planets, the stars, and the mountains, the rivers, the seas, and the islands, as well as their different kinds of inhabitants, takes place. Please kindly responsibly repeat. O best of the Brahmanas, please also describe how the creation of the globes throughout the universe, the four directions of the heavens, the sky, the planets, the stars, the mountains, the rivers, the seas, and the islands, as well as the different kinds of inhabitants, takes place. Purport. The inhabitants of different varieties of land, etc., are differently situated, and not all of them are equal in all respects. The inhabitants of the land are different from the inhabitants of the water or the sky. And similarly, the inhabitants of the different planets and stars in the sky are also different from one another. By the laws of the Lord, no place is vacant. By the laws of the Lord, no place is vacant. But the creatures of one particular place are different from those of other places. Even in human society, the inhabitants of the jungles or the deserts are different from those of the cities and villages. They are so made according to different qualities of the modes of nature. Such adjustment by the laws of nature is not blind. There is a great plan behind the arrangement. Maharaj Parikshit requests the great sage Sukadev Goswami to explain all this authoritatively in accordance with proper understanding. Om Gyana Timirandasya, Gyana Jana Salakaya, Saksur Militam Jena Tasmai, Se Gurave Namaha, Se Chaitanya Manobistam, Stafitam, Yena Bhutali, Swayam Rupam, Kadamayam, Dadati Swa, Padantikam, Vanchakal Patari Dacha, Kripasun Vyayevacha, Patitana, Pavadam, Vaishnavidya, Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Itinam Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sonyavadi Pasatyadi Satarine Vandisi Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodato Gudodhaya Puspavantu Chito Chandu Tamonanda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gadadara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, thank you for those who have the time to be able to come physically for the class. Otherwise, there is provisions for anyone to watch the class from their comfort zones, from their homes. But according to scientific research, learning based on face-to-face interaction is more effective than the online learning. So, and of course, we understand that when we come within the proximity of anybody, there are lots of subtle exchanges that take place. And that is why, for instance, those who are very close, physically very close to Prabhupada, those who are serving Prabhupada directly, they have his Vapu. Yes, they serve also his Vani, but, their lives are different because that extra mercy is there. It's called Guru Kripa. So, having said that, this text is basically about our environment, creation of this material world. And sometimes people tend to think, especially the scientists, at least before, they had this conception that in some of the planets, there's no life that is going on. But according to the purport here, according to the Bhagavatam, life is sarvagata, everywhere. Just because we don't see some physical manifestation doesn't mean life is non-existence. There are ghosts moving around. It doesn't mean that because we don't see the ghosts, and so there are no ghosts. And what does ghost really imply? Ghost simply means a living entity, a jiva carrying a subtle body, is devoid of a physical body to enjoy physically. The ghost may see a banana, ripe banana, and is interested in eating the banana, but he has no physical body to enjoy the banana. Can you tell that Prabhu to come a little bit like this so that? Yes. Can you come like this if you are in the class so that I can have your darshan? Thank you. We are a family, so when we come for these morning meetings or whatever meetings, we should have that sense of belonging, one family, and so people should not be hiding behind the pillars. So, what the text is highlighting is how in all of these universes, in all of these billions of planets, life is present. If you go into the water, our bodies are predominated by earth. So if we go to some areas, some places, that the living entities, their embodiment is not predominated by earth, we cannot see them. If Lord Brahma comes here, we cannot see him. Except he decides to manifest himself. Because his body composition is different from ours. Our eyes are made up of earth. And so we can only see earth. We can only see physical form. Subtle forms we are not able to see. It doesn't mean that subtle forms don't exist. So this Bhagavatam helps to set the record straight. And it's not that, we should go and challenge the scientists and cause some trouble and, begin to fight like, what the jihadists do. This is my belief. This is what my Lord said. If you don't accept this, then there should be killing. No, we don't advocate that. But if even someone is a scientist, he comes in contact with the Bhagavatam, he explores the Bhagavatam, he will come to realize that, this is true. Because, you see, in the, some decades ago, the scientists, they made us understand that the earth was flat. And then they later came to disprove their own theory that the earth was round or whatever, or spherical. So these theories that are subject to modifications. See, what is said in the Bhagavatam is never modified. It does not undergo any modification. It's not that some new theory has been developed to supplement that theory or that conceptualization. And now, before it was like this, now we've discovered it is like this. No, this is due to imperfections. And so, when the people who are not conversant with the Vedic knowledge, or even some people who are even conversant with the Vedic knowledge, they get the so-called modern scientists, they buy them over to assume that, this knowledge is mythology. And it's just so crazy. Mythology means it's something like a fiction. It's non-existence. And I've seen even, I remember, I don't know what I mentioned here before, but I remember when we were on parikram in Vrindavan one time. So we went into one shrine, and there were some pamphlets. And in those pamphlets, right here in India, right there in Vrindavan, in those pamphlets, they are depicting that these pastimes are a mythology. They buy the Western theoretical concepts, which debunk or which try to relegate the Vedic literature to the background. And so I was so infuriated. But, what could a single guy do? So, the idea is that if we read the Bhagavatam, especially the 5th canto, we see how all of the different manifestations come to be. And for, entities, we have 8 million. How many billions or 8 millions? 8 billion. Huh? 8,400,000 species. And out of that, humans is only 400,000. So 8 million species are non-humans. But we don't say that, we are the only people existing in the universe. And so here, in this text, Sukadev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, he was waiting for death. And in the process of waiting for death, he was making some inquiries about what to do with his life. This is his last days. It's like when Katwanga king, what's his name? Katwanga? Yeah, when he was told he has just a fiction of a moment. He said, wow, so let me fix my consciousness on the Supreme. Intelligent people will want to engage in activities that will help to focus their consciousness on the Supreme. Because we are not lucky like Maharaja Parikshit. We are not lucky like Katanga. Any moment, death could strike us. These people who have a notification, you are using... Notification is just a common thing these days with the digitalization, our internet system. You get notified about everything. But death, we're not Maharaja Parikshit. We're not going to be notified. So how prepared are we for this inevitable end? Yes, the jiva is sarva, its existence everywhere. In the water, in the sky, in the jungles. So Prabhupada mentioned in the purport that, they are different. The embodiments are different. Their culture, even our cultures are different. In one culture, on this same planet, they're doing different things. In one culture, you can change. If you're a man, you can change you can become a woman if you would desire, right? Oh yeah. And in some cultures, is completely outlawed. If you do it, you go to lifetime jail. You have seen that in some country. On the Sabbath casual charts, one guy was mentioning this, and in this country, if you try to do this as a law, you'll be put to jail for life. Now, in some of these so-called advanced countries, that is the norm. So like Prabhupada mentioned, the people are different, the cultures are different, the values are different. So, just because my values are not materially oriented, doesn't mean that someone should condemn me. And so, this is the misgiving of the modern freedom. People have freedom, but they misuse the freedom. We have a free will, but we also have a right to misuse our free will. But we don't have the right to procrastinate the reactions to our activities by dint of our free will. We use the free will in the ways we like. As human beings, we are having this great, amazing opportunity. Even in the United Nations, if you are 18 years old, you have your freedom. You have your freedom to do whatever you like with your life. But it doesn't mean that whatever you do, you're going to be exonerated because of your right. There's no right that exonerates you from the reactions of what you do. And therefore, yes, we have different futures, we have different consciousness, but the consequentiality mindset gives us a bonus to be cautious about what we do. Because we know if we go against the laws of nature are very stringent. They will impound on us with some reactions. So, that is, the material world is full of variegatedness. And the variegatedness is simply a reflection of our past activities. We are given a particular body, we are born in a particular situation, we are born in a particular culture based on our past activities. We find these days, you can't imagine, I just couldn't figure out when they learned that 3 years old child talking about sex. Oh yeah. You see a 5 years old boy saying, oh, my brother has a boyfriend, but he doesn't, my brother has a girlfriend, but he doesn't share his girlfriend with me. 5 years old. Where do they learn that? It's from past life. And so, we have a chance in this very life, the variegatedness notwithstanding, there is one common opportunity. There's a common denominator. All humans have been given a chance to be exposed to transcendental knowledge. But not everyone has access to it. You think that if some scientist reads the Bhagavatam that he will not have a change of heart? He will have a change of heart. But how many of them have the opportunity to be exposed to the knowledge of the Bhagavatam? So yes, we are doing a lot of work. Our devotees are doing a lot of work distributing this Bhagavatam. And sometimes we don't also know how the impact of this Bhagavatam distribution has on our modern civilization. I remember I was in Croatia one time. So one of these lawmakers, he came to the temple, and so we exchanged, contacts. And later he contacted me on Facebook. he was asking for ascetic evidence about the soul being, when the soul was injected into the womb. Because he wanted to make a proposal in Congress that to oppose abortion. So I sent him the text, the chapter in the Bhagavatam, and he was so enlightened. He said this is a complete valid evidence to oppose all these people who are proposing abortion, because at the time of pregnancy, the chapter describes what happens right from the time of pregnancy, how the soul enters the womb through the semen, and then the gradual development is there, and it's so graphic. That is Vedic biology. It's so graphic. So he was so much excited that he has an evidence to be able to present to his members, to his co-Congress members. And so the books have great impact on people's life. They change our behaviors. They modify our behavior. They modify our thinking. And so we should be very grateful to Srila Prabhupada for making these arrangements. And not only are we having this knowledge, but we are also helping to distribute this knowledge to other people. And that will bring about a revolution in the lives of the people. And so just like there are different people or different entities, the cats, dogs, ants, elephants, hippos. And if you watch in the jungle, you see how one animal is pursuing the other animal for food. And it's so interesting. Sometimes you find even some powerful birds, they dive into the sea to pick up a fish. Is it this life we are living? We complain about wars, but there are wars always going on. Someone is struggling to control the other person. The Ishwara above is there. And then we don't really identify that, but then we complain about the physical wars, the external things. And so, because of the variegatedness in the material world, people tend to be satisfied. But the variegatedness in the material world is just a reflection of the spiritual world. Like we have trees here, there are also trees in the spiritual world. But the trees in the spiritual world are kalpavrikshas. In other words, the trees in the spiritual, if you want a mango, you can go to any tree and get a mango. Here in the material world, if we want a mango, either we'll go to the mall to buy the mango, or we'll plant a mango in our orchard. And if we plant a mango, we should not expect to reap an orange. So that is the limitation of this material world. Yes, the variegatedness is good, but the variegatedness comes with a lot of limitations. We can only function in a particular way. And although we have been given these access, this human body is a great opportunity to be able to transcend all of the inebrities of the material world. Because just like we find so much of variegatedness in the material world, there is also duality of suffering and happiness. And nobody wants to encounter unhappiness. We want to be happy. But the Bhagavatam again states that our happiness and our distress is all programmed. And we don't need to struggle too much for that. But does that mean that we should just sit back and say, well, I'm waiting for things to unfold? Because my happiness and my distress is all programmed. It's all there in a package. I got this body, it's a package. And the package comes with, some caskets. And so it's only in the human, on the human platform that we have that opportunity to make the choice to be either involved in Krishna consciousness or to be involved in utter sense gratificatory pursuits. And that's what the animals do. The common denominator of all of this variegatedness in the human society is that you find all of, even the lower creatures, they are finding a way to eat. And after eating, digestion is going on, and the body becomes weak, and they feel sleepy, and they go to sleep. Perhaps, if they have a partner, if the partner is also sleeping, they may want to have sex. And after that, they find someone to quarrel with, or to try to control, or to try to conquer. They go to one country and conquer the other. I mean, just imagine. Look, you are sitting down, doing, I mean, you didn't do anything to anybody, and someone just comes to try to conquer you. And you wonder, you ask, what did I do? You don't need to do anything. This is the nature of this material world. And it's not just happening now. When Krishna was even on the planet, the demons come to attack Dwaka, attack him directly. So if the demons come to attack Krishna, what about we? And so when we reflect on these dualities in the material world, for me, I think that it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Because you may say, well, because I don't have skills, that's why I'm not happy, that's why I'm suffering. But see, I know some of my friends have 3 PhDs and they are not happy. Yeah. Happiness is something endemic or endogenous. The happiness that comes from exogenous factors, from external factors, they're very transitory. You may have a big car now, a big limousine, and you're happy. You have to, drive around and then show everyone, here comes Govinda. But then, that same limousine, someone may recklessly come to bump into you and then smash your limousine. And then it results to fighting, litigations. You call the cops here and there. So here you are, you have the resources, but then someone comes to disturb your enjoyment with their own recklessness. And you cannot really predict. The world is there are unpredictable activities and events always in this material world. And you cannot really for sure tell what you are going to encounter in the day after now. So the variegatedness that we have should all be dovetailed in the service of the Lord. Otherwise, it's just miseries. It brings miseries. We have even the dogs. We have the cows. The birds. But Lord Krishna arranges all of their facilities. The dogs and the cows, they don't need to work so hard like we do. As humans, if we don't work hard, we will not attain our goals. And if even we attain our goals, we may not be happy. Even after attaining our goals, achievements, I've achieved this, we may still not be happy. Happiness only comes from devotional culture, from connecting with the ocean of happiness. And that is Lord Krishna. And that's why you find all these birds, they are not comfortable. The animals, they are not comfortable. If an animal is crossing the road, if a deer is crossing the road, you think that the deer walks majestically across the road? It goes at a jet speed because of fear of annihilation. And so, we have that great opportunity to engage in devotional service so that at the end of this very life, we could receive the creeper of the Lord, the creeper of our founder child, the creeper of the spiritual master, to be able to go back home, back to God. Otherwise, I repeat, for me, it's not worth it. The struggle in this material world is not worth it. Because lower animals, they don't struggle like we do. And they have the same enjoyment facilities. So, it's important for us to bear in mind that what the scientists have made us understand is not true. That there is life everywhere. In all planets, higher planets, the moon planet. Sometimes, these astronauts, they explore higher planets and then they come to show us some pebbles. If you accept, that's okay. So, the point that is raised here is there is life. They say there is no life. Some of the astronauts, explorers, they say there is no life on other planets. But the Bhagavatam tells us there is life. Heavenly planets, there are heavenly beings. But the heavenly beings, they don't have this gross body. Lord Brahma's body is made of mind. Predominating element of Lord Brahma's body is the mind. Can you see the mind? Our bodies are predominated by art. And so we can see another physical body. So I think this is a good information for us. So that if people are worshiping the scientists who come to tell us on other planets there is no life, we say, all right, thank you, sir. Any comments or questions? Oh, yes.
Maharaj, thank you for the class. You mentioned that there are cultures, different cultures in different places, and we should not criticize the other culture. But the example which you gave, that some places where they change the gender, that is like sinful. That is sinful activity.
Yeah.
So we have to criticize that.
Yeah.
So how do we go about that? And they also feel offended, like our freedom is gone. And so how do we get them to the right conclusion that this is sinful activity, what you're doing? So can you please guide?
Yeah, there are ways to be able to present the very cultural ideas without creating so much of friction. And for instance, but you know that even in the Vedic literature, there is transgender, right? I remember the story of one king. I think he committed some offense or something like that to Indra, and then he made him to become a woman or something like that. So that is natural transition. The funny thing about that case was that when Indra came to rescue him from the reactions, he said, no, I'm okay. I mean, I don't want to. I've tested both sides. I've tested being a man, I've tested being a woman, and I prefer to be a woman. So that was like, something that is really like, it's amazing. But this is lived experience. So some people, they have this idea that everyone must subscribe to their own ideas, to their own ideals. Yeah, you're in one country, and then there is a law banning, same-sex marriage. Another country, they have a different law. What can we do? Shall we go and start fighting the people? That's my point. We should not go about trying to fight people, because what we can do is to give them Krishna consciousness, and if they read the Vedic literature, they will understand the gravity of what they are doing. But my point is, we cannot take arms. We are not jihadists. We cannot take arms and start fighting people because they commit some sinful activity. You understand the point? Yeah, we cannot do that, because there will be two wrongs cannot make a right. Yes, we know they are committing sinful activities. They're going to get reactions. So we should be patient with that. We should be comported with that. We should not go and carry guns and start killing people because they are committing sinful activities. I mean, it's like taking the laws into our hands. We are not, Yamadutas. We can tell them that, look, this is the way, and that is not proper because it involves some type of reactions. People want to become God. They don't really claim, they don't really openly assert that I am God or I want to become God, but that is the modus operandi there. So my point is, we should not confront people and start, be violent to them because we perceive some sinful activity. We can report any crime to the appropriate quarters, to the police. For sinful activities, sinful reactions, Maharaja has to deal with it. And the government is there. There is a constitution. For instance, in India, there's a constitution. Every country has a constitution. The Bhagavatam is our constitution. If someone is not a member is not part of our country, what can we do? Yes, Mataji.
Thank you, Maharaj, for this class. His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj said that we are in spiritual warfare to uplift the consciousness of this planet, and our weapons are love and peace. So, what can we do to foster loving relationships on this planet Earth? First amongst ourselves, amongst devotees, and then the larger body of people.
Yeah, that's a nice question, because most of the times we are concentrating on how to love Krishna, how to love Guru. But what about love amongst the devotees? Huh? See, I tell you one thing. Okay, one of my friends, he's not here today. He told me they were communicating, himself, his family, and one other family, they were communicating with another family, and then he said, we love you. And the Mataji of that family, she wrote back to say that, Prabhu, this word love should be reserved for Krishna. Yeah, this happened just in this community, okay? So, I think we misconstrue the terminology love to mean something else, to mean some, sensory enjoyment. Just like a mother or a father loves their child. That love creates a sense of belonging for the child. And that's why you find the child, if he's in danger, he runs to the mother or he runs to the father, because they feel protected. Now, we cannot say that we love Krishna without really radiating love amongst ourselves. It's just a facade. If I say I love Krishna, and I see you in with some predicament, and I'm not there for you. So the question is, how to foster this love? First of all, we understand. First of all, we preach. We have been preaching. Mama evam so jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. We are all parts and parcels of Krishna. Good. And I remember, I don't know whether I mentioned this before in this temple, in this class, but I was traveling in Canada some time ago, and I was in Montreal. And so there was a group of devotees, Sankirtan devotees, they were traveling around, so they came to Montreal. So the team leader, he came to me to ask Maharaj, what can I do to help these devotees who are traveling with me, distributing the holy names? I said, what you can do is simple. Treat them the way you love your young brother. Treat them the way you treat your beloved young brother. And you know what he told me? He stared at me in the face and said, Maharaj, this is very difficult. I said, how is it difficult? We say we are parts and parcels of Krishna. Krishna mentions that we are all his part and parcel. It means we are one family, Krishna's family. So, first of all, we have to understand we belong to one family. Forget about all the other big philosophy. We belong to one family, the Krishna family. How do you treat your family member? And so, we first have to recognize the fact that we are of one family, Krishna family, and from there we can start learning how to exchange loving relationships by dint of having a confidant, by dint of exchange of gifts. Rupa Goswami mentions about, loving exchanges in the Upadishamrita. So that is where we have to start. Loving exchanges. If even I'm not interested in giving gifts to people, I should start now to cultivate a culture of gifts given. So, at the end of the year, we should reflect and ask ourselves, this past year or this year, how many devotees did I give gifts to? How many devotees did I call over to my place to have prasadam together with? This is the simple way. See, you can give, for instance, you may be a high-profile personality, and someone meets you outside or in the office. You give your phone number. What phone number do you give? Office phone number, not your cell phone number. Now, when your friendship has developed, you may take them for a drink. But then later, if the friendship has really developed to a higher level, you want to bring them to your house to meet with your family. I remember one time I went to a conference, and this professor, this professor is a political science professor, so he had asked me some questions. The president of that association had told them that I'm a priest from the Hare Krishna temple. So this professor, he had asked me some questions, and then I just answered the personal questions. I just answered them swift. So he was surprised. So then he called me over and said that, what? I did not book an appointment with you to come and ask you questions. I just asked the questions, and without wasting time, he just answered me. I said, these are very simple things, For you, it may seem like a big thing. And you know what he said? See, I call you well, after the conference, when he get back to New York. So when I get back to New York, he called me and he said he wants me to meet his family. So now the friendship has extended to coming to his home. And when someone comes to your home, they establish a relationship with your family. Now, how many devotees say in this community, how many devotees say you have a crisis in your family? How many people can you call on the phone to say, can I come to sleep at your home tonight? How many people in your life can you call? We may say, well, this is not America. But look, things are changing and the world is evolving. So in America, for instance, if you do something really silly, your wife can tell you, all right, take your bag, leave. After 2 weeks, I'll call you back. And if you don't have somebody to go to, then you'll be on the road. So to begin with our loving relationship, we should focus on cultivating the values that Rupa Goswami mentions in the Upadeshamrita. How many of us that have people in our lives, or even the single person in our lives, that we are traumatized and we can share that inner feeling with? So if I don't have a confidant, I should begin now to develop interest in cultivating relationship that will be rooted in that person being my confidant. Otherwise, this is why people commit suicide. They don't have somebody to relate to about their confidential matters. This is because of the low rate we appropriate to interpersonal loving relationships. So the love we need to establish with Krishna, the love we are trying to re-establish with Krishna, we should also try to radiate that love amongst our devotees. Otherwise it becomes a problem. And normally I tell people, look, see me as your friend. Don't see me as another Swami, Jai Maharaj. I'm not going to eat the Jai Maharaj. See me as your friend. So we should go to Rupa Goswami's instructions and try to cultivate those values. And simple thing, exchange, giving gifts.
Thank you, Maharaj.
This Prabhu, he bought me a wristwatch. He's not a millionaire. He bought me a wristwatch. I was rejecting it, but, I thought, well, it's my friend, so I have to accept. Time is up. I'm sorry. Those guys are here because they're here. And if somebody has any other questions, they could reach me out, reach out to me. But I don't want to cause agitation for those boys who are in charge of this place. Because it's also written everywhere, Please finish the Srimad Bhagavatam class with question and answers by 9 o'clock. I don't want to be disobedient. I'm sorry. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki.